All right, so we'd like to now welcome onto the show Coach Jamion Christian from George Washington. Coach, as I just mentioned to you before we started recording here, this interview is a big deal for both of us. Me personally, I've made a few social media posts just about some extreme actions on either side that I felt were flagrant, but honestly, we didn't really feel this issue was ready to be taken on unless it included somebody from the Black community. So. I feel like, a lot of people have been shamed and guilted into making certain social media posts. And, I didn't want to do that myself because it didn't mean much to me, as much to me as having a conversation with somebody like you. So I genuinely thank you for being on the show today and doing this with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And, I think all conversation right now is really important, and just trying to build awareness and understanding and a real good understanding about where we are and also understanding where we want to go.
Yeah, and that's a good segue just to start it off because, you were one of the college coaches who had put out a statement about the murder of George Floyd. Obviously, as Joe said, all of this, the continued racial injustice, the unrest in the country, all of this has been deeply disheartening and deeply saddening. And, it seems like this is a time, like you said, where it's important to listen, it's important to learn, and it's important to understand. So to start off, kind of wanted to give you a bit of an open floor with this question. What things do you think are most important for people to kind of hear, for them to kind of like learn more about and internalize, and for them to like really try to fully understand?
Well, I think just understanding how we got to where we are in our country. And, like for me, I'm a guy who like enjoys history. So I've tried to go back and really kind of refresh myself on history, even before the Civil War, and just really understanding what the contributions were for guys like Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, Martin Luther King. Those are kind of the buzzword guys that people really look up. But I wanted to refresh myself on that, and I wanted to really refresh myself on what racial injustice is and how we've been a part of this system for so long, almost to the point now where you feel like you're so deeply rooted into the system that you don't see some of the injustices that are happening every single day. And I'm really pleased with our world. I think for the first time, when you look around, I mean, when you had the civil rights movement, it was mostly, not only, but mostly African Americans, marching for African American rights. When we had the Me Too movement, it was mostly strong women marching for women's rights. And you can look at any protest that way. But I thought what was really interesting was when you look at this protest here for true civil injustice, we have mixed races, mixed sexes all marching together. And I don't know if we've seen that in the history of the world. And I think that's going to be really powerful when we go in the next phase of this, which turns this thing into action. And, I'm a guy who's really optimistic in the world because I believe in the good in people, and I believe in the good this world has to offer. And when I see these protests and I see people really bonding together, you see people singing together, marching together. You see people, even when the protests become, with the police, you see people standing up for one another. I think there's a lot of good in this world, and I think we're seeing how resilient the human spirit is for one another, despite what race there is right now.
Yeah, this is definitely unprecedented, just in terms of the response and reaction to everybody across the country. I do want to touch on the subject of the protests themselves. I've heard, and honestly, I could reason with, both sides of the protest argument. One side, you have people saying, why do you have to, introduce violence into the protesting and looting and things of that nature? And then on the other hand, I hear the counterpoint with people saying, well, we've tried peaceful protests in the past and, nothing has really changed. This is the most progress that we've ever made in terms of, a discussion coming to light. And that could be a result of the violence and the looting. So where do you stand on that topic? And what do you think the next step is from here?
I think violence versus another man is wrong. And I don't think anybody, no matter the method that it goes to and what it produces in the end, would agree with that. And I just think violence is wrong. I think we should love each other, work with each other, build from one another. I think violence against any man is wrong, whether it's in a protesting fashion or not, whether it's the police brutality on another man, whether it's a man towards the police. I just think violence is wrong. And, I'll never stand by that. I just think violence is wrong. And I think when the protest moves towards looting, I think it changes the narrative. And what's hard about it is it's not everybody looting. The majority of the people in the protests are there to do it the right way. I've also think you've seen some things in this protesting model that's been different. I've seen a lot of instances where people were trying to commit crimes, trying to create more mayhem, and where people stopped them. Mm-hmm. People reported them to the police. You're seeing reports today that people are saying, if you see anything violent happening or looting happening within the protest, please report them, within that group. And we've never seen that in the history of a protest either. And right. That shows how dedicated the people are that are marching and that are preaching, or how dedicated they are to the true cause of it. I think we're seeing a lot of things here that have been unprecedented, and we need that to create unprecedented change.
Do you think that there are people out there that are taking advantage of the protests, people that might not necessarily have, what the goal of the protests were in the first place in mind when they go out and they do some of these, violent acts or looting or anything along those lines?
I think we need all the voices in one direction that we can have. When you look up and you see an image of a woman taking a cheesecake out of the thing, I don't think that's part of the protest, and I think we can all agree on that. And, you want to encourage people to protest peacefully, to do so in a manner that is towards that cause that's so important. And we want people to be able to do that. That's part about being an American, the ability to protest and protest peacefully. Yeah. And so I think we just want to keep encouraging people to do that the best they can.
Chris, you have anything else on the subject?
No, I mean, very well said. And I'll just say that, obviously it's a very difficult issue that, has been an issue for a very long time. But we have to, of course, face the problem head on, but it is good to hear the optimism in your voice.
Yeah, I'm just watching. I'm seeing, so many things that are happening. I mean, this is an unprecedented time, obviously, with COVID, with the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, this is an unprecedented time for all these things that are happening. And, I am seeing a ton of the positive, on my Twitter, I'm putting out shout the good, I'm hashtagging that. And, I want people to start to embrace the good and the good they're seeing in the human spirit. The human spirit's an amazing thing. It can, it can do so many amazing things. And I want us to start embracing that. That doesn't mean I want to take away from the message and what people are doing, because I think the message is important. Mm-hmm. And I think that people sacrificing their bodies and sacrificing their time, that's the spirit of an American. That's the spirit of what our country's built on, spirit of, of what we have. And I want to continue to talk about that. But man, I want people to really talk about the good, because I think there's a lot of good things happening out there. And we need to embrace the good as well as the bad things happen in the past to move forward. And again, it's all about creating positive change. That's everyone's goal at the end of this. And I think we have a great opportunity with an election coming up in November, with the primaries and how we saw a bunch of changes there. As Americans, we have these amazing rights to be able to vote our leadership at all levels. And maybe we haven't been doing that at the best of our ability. Maybe we haven't been educating ourselves the best of our ability to the ways that we can impact our world and our community. But I think coming out of this, our awareness will be heightened. And I think that will give the people power to put their elected officials in the right places to make real positive change. I also think what you'll see people really empowered by this. And I think we'll have a great leadership structure that will come out of it, of people of color, people who maybe wouldn't have stepped up before, that will want to step up and help their communities and be empowered by it. I just think there's a lot of great things that can come of this if we listen, if we understand, if we move forward, if we tackle the real root of the problem. We can really affect change at this time.
It's perfectly said. And, there's been a lot of just, go with the flow and status quo that's gone on in just our leadership and for forever. I mean, it's getting to the point where I think people are starting to realize now that, things are going to be needed to be changed at, not just the top level, but, getting up, moving up the ladder onto, even just, in the Senate and in the House and everything. So we appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk about this with us. As I said, first time that we've had the opportunity to talk about it ourselves. Let's transition a bit. Well, first of all, I want to say, if anybody would like to, if the viewers have or listeners have not seen what Coach Christian has posted on Twitter, go check that out at Jamion Christian on Twitter. Also, the George Washington men's basketball account posted a very good video. So definitely go check those things out. And now let's talk a little bit about basketball. I mean, definitely has been an unorthodox offseason, to say the least. And we'll get to that in a second. But let's start just with your first year at GW. How do you grade it? How did it turn out in comparison to what you were expecting?
Well, I think, we went, on the record side, we went +2 in A-10 play from a year ago. We went +3 in the record rise overall. So I think when you look at the result of it, you would say we improved from the year before. Obviously being in our first year, that's your number one goal, is to try to improve it. And, what we want to do is we want to stand for building a strong life environment here at GW. And that's what we've really worked on. And I feel like we made tremendous progress towards that. The way we treat each other, the way we respond to one another, the way we respond to adversity. I thought we did a great job of that all season long. And, I'm excited about our group because, we've been able to add some key transfers, but we've been able to really retain some great returning players, and Maceo Jack and Jamison Battle and Jameer Nelson Jr. and Chase Parr. These guys are really, really good players, and they played a ton of minutes for us. So their experience level is going to continue to grow. So I think when you look at, how do you grade the year? We got better. And we kept our best players here, which in college basketball right now is one of the biggest things you got to be able to do. And I feel great about our progression. I feel great about what we're trying to do here. And, I'm excited about our future.
And you mentioned that, all your underclassmen are coming back, but of course you lose, one of your best players, a guy that kind of the offense ran through last year in Armel Potter. How do you envision replacing his void in the offense this year?
Yeah, Armel was tremendous for us. He put together a great year. I think he averaged about 4 points a game as a junior and an average of just under 15 a game for us as a senior. Put together a great year. He's going to have a chance to go play overseas, and he'll have a great career over there. Just so much respect for him. It's a tough situation when you get a new head coach your senior year. I thought he handled it as well as any player could really handle it, and he had a great year because of it. And, so we're excited about that. We've added guys on our roster, guys like James Bishop, from LSU. Jameer Nelson Jr., who played some 2 for us last year, who's going to move over to the point this year. And we have a lot of faith and confidence in him. Really underappreciated. Averaged just under 11 points a game as a freshman. Was 5th in the A-10 in steals per game, and really finished the last 3 weeks of the season off pretty injured. And so, I'm really encouraged with him, and I think his ability to play and the plays he can make. I just don't think there's a lot of guys like that in the A-10, and I think he's really underappreciated. I thought he should have been on the all-rookie team. I don't know how he got robbed not being on there. There's no question in my mind. He's one of the most dominant rookies in our league, and I'm sure he's taking that chip into his shoulder into the offseason. So, we can move him over there. We also have Tyler Brailsford and Lincoln Ball, 2 freshmen that we brought in that we're really excited about, and they have great size. Tyler's 6'4.5", Lincoln's 6'5". And both these guys can make plays off the bounce and make all the passes and reads. And that's been such a great position for us, that point guard position. So, I feel really confident about the guys that we have. And I love the amount of shooting that they have around them. Like for a rookie quarterback, you want a good tight end, and we've got a lot of shooting, and shooting is like a tight end in basketball.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. You've coached some pretty elite defensive teams in your tenure at Mount St. Mary's, and then also in your one season at Siena. I think you guys ranked number 1 in the conference in defensive efficiency. The defensive results were not there this year at GW. I think you were 13 out of 14 in the conference. What do you think was attributable to the struggles defensively, and are you looking at making some adjustments going into next season?
Yeah, we'll always play aggressive. One thing with the A-10, it's a very well defended league, and teams do a great job defensively. And so I felt like with our defense, and I thought we were middle of the pack about midway through the year, and then we had a few injuries and things kind of tailed off at the end. And those things happen through the course of the season. So I feel good about our defense moving forward. Number one, our guys are really a great defensive mindset. I think, again, talking about Jameer Nelson, the guy that steals the ball from you. Jameson Battle's a very good rebounder for a guy that can shoot the ball the way that he does. Chase Parr selling into his sophomore year is going to be huge for us. So I think we have 3 guys there that are really good defensively, and they're going to continue to grow with that. I also think our depth is going to be much better. Last year we really played 6 or 7 guys. We'll have a chance to go to 9 or 10 this year. So we're going to be able to give guys some breaks and do some stuff like that. So I feel great about our team. Again, the 8th is a great defensive league. So I think when I looked at those defensive numbers, I was like, man, we're 13 out of 14. But when you look at the overall number, it wasn't, most of the year it wasn't as bad because it's just such a well defended league. And so I feel great about it. I feel great about where we're going with it. I think with the experience that guys have, it's going to really help us. We're going to probably turn the tempo up even more.
I was just going to ask. That was my next question.
I want to get back to pressing and trapping, and we just didn't
Okay.
have enough depth last year to be able to do that. And, I want to get back to being able to do that and picking guys up 94 feet and really being aggressive and having some fun out there. So we're going to get back to doing that defensively. It'll be great.
It's funny. We've noticed for some of the interviews we've had with other coaches, we really love when you guys answer our questions before we even ask them. It's showing kind of like how on top of everything you are. But let's shift quickly away from GW and let's go to Siena because last year the Saints they had a really good season. They won the MAC, winning the last 10 games of the season. Was it satisfying for you at all to see that Siena team that you had such a big part in building, win the MAC, and especially under your former assistant?
Yeah, I loved it. I had a chance to watch a few of the games. My wife would watch a few of the games. Our staff who was at Siena, we would watch. And, we're just such big believers in Carm. I mean, obviously he worked with us, and he was a huge, huge part of us being able to turn that thing around in one season. And, I wouldn't be at GW without a guy like that working with him every single day. So, we're actually really close. Carm and I talk probably about once a week, and and the guys on that team, we all still communicate. We all really root for one another. When we get a big win, they text us. When they get a big win, we text them. It's like a big family, big extended family now. I love watching their team. I love watching how they play, and I think you can really feel like the energy and stuff that we believed in, and the values that we try to instill into the program are there. And Carm just did a great job of just continue to build his culture and to build around the guys and to love the guys up. And you can really see that. And, I'm really proud of him. I just think he did an unbelievable job, and really proud to say that I worked at Siena, that I was able to share the floor with guys like him and coach guys like Jalen Pickett. And, it was a great year. It's a great place. Albany, New York's a great place, and they have great basketball pride. And, I'm always going to be rooting for the Saints, and I just have so much respect for them and how they play and how they perform.
Is Carm mad at you at all that you took Sloan Seymour away from him?
No, it's one of those things where those things kind of just shake out sometimes, and, like I think Sloan didn't transfer until September or August. So it was a pretty late transfer. I just think it's one of those things where, way we play with our shooting, Sloan fits us perfectly. I don't know if there's been a stretch four more perfect for our system than a Sloan Seymour. And, I think how, Carm plays way more aggressive, way more athletic. It's just a little bit different in their style of play. So I think everybody kind of mutually agreed. And then when he was kind of out there, it was like, hey, would you guys be interested? We kind of let Sloan work through it and kind of figure out where we wanted to be at. But, again, Carm and I are really close. So we talk about literally it's just about everything. Yeah. So, we just have such a great relationship. So, it wasn't anything like that. I'll be honest with you. It was just like, hey, he likes athletes. He likes guys that can run and jump. I like those too. But I really like guys that can shoot 40% from three. They're 6'9".
Yeah,
I like a lot of guys like Sloan Seymour, and so I think it was kind of a collective decision made by everybody.
Yeah, it's funny. We spoke with Greg Gary at Mercer earlier this week, and he talked about a story where he has a transfer coming in this year. He was under Matt Painter 2 years ago, tried to recruit this guy Felipe Hasse, and it didn't work out. Then Gary goes to Mercer, and Hasse, who was at South Carolina, now transferring to Mercer. So I guess that kind of like intertwinedness probably happens a decent amount, on the transfer market.
Yeah, and we've had, now we've had Ace Stallings, who transferred from Mount St. Mary's to be with us. Brandon Leftwich, graduate transfer, who's going to transfer in to be with us. Sloan Seymour. When I was at Siena, Don Carey came with us from the Mount to Siena.
It's a huge compliment to you.
Well, I mean, it's just like we all just really work together. We're just trying to take care of one another. I believe in the guys, and they believe in what we're trying to do for them. I really do believe this. We try to love our guys up with everything we got. I'm not saying every day is perfect, but we just try to love them up. I think they feel that love, and they feel that appreciation, that level of respect. And if you feel that, it's really hard to leave that. And so I'm really proud when those guys want to come back and play. It does mean a lot.
So you're obviously there's a big step up for you in terms of conference this past season, going up to the A10 from some smaller leagues. This is the first time you're really coaching in a potential multi-bid league here. Has your approach changed at all? Has your mentality changed at all? Has your recruiting changed at all? The A10 obviously being a league that had a national title contender last year. Yeah. So is it any different coaching in the A10 than the NEC or the MAC?
Yeah, it's a great league and it's got great coaches, but I think every league has great coaches and everybody's problems are different problems depending on where you are. The thing I really felt great about last year is I felt like before we hit the injury bug, near the end of the year, our offense was really clicking. We were getting the shots we wanted to, we were getting the ball we needed to. We played differently than most teams, so I think that sort of helps. We're going to ball screen more than any team in the country. We ball screen you a lot of different ways and move the ball around. And the way we value shooting and complete shooting on the floor changes how you have to play us. So I was really encouraged with the way we were able to get the shots we wanted. Now, we didn't finish a shot to the level that we probably needed to, but we created and generated great offensive looks, and that's how we graded if we generated a great look. And we're able to do that for guys, from Jameson Battle making 89 threes and Maceo Jack making 84 threes. That's a lot of threes between two guys. Adding a guy like Sloan Seymour in there who made 94 as a freshman, and guys like James Bishop and Jameer Nelson getting better, and Tyler Brailsford and Lincoln Ball, great shooters as well. So I think we've really, I feel great because I feel like our system, you can play in any league. And I think it's just about getting the amount of depth that we need. And you need some luck, some untimely injuries. We had a great game versus Davidson. We won the 4 overtime. Really feel like we really turned the corner there. And Armel Potter got hurt in that game. So then we have to go on the road to play Richmond, have to go on the road to play St. Bonaventure. And then we had Rhode Island at home. We had to do that basically without, an all-league player with Armel Potter. And that's going to be hard for any team if they lose their guy. It's a little bit of bad luck there. Those things happen if you coach long enough. So I feel really encouraged with our system and how we're able to create offense. I think that's going to be really good for us. As our maturity gets better, our defense will continue to step in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you may not have the national title contender this year, but I think the A-10 as a whole is taking a big step up because I feel like the floor, the base of the A-10 is going to take a leap, and you're still going to have some real good teams at the top. So
great teams. You got Richmond, St. Louis. I mean, they were turning a ton of guys. Anthony Grant's obviously National Coach of the Year. They're going to be really good. And,
St. Bonaventure
VCU is good. St.
Oh, sorry,
Bonaventure, man, I love what Smith does up there.
Yep.
So it's just a great league. Every year, everybody's getting better.
Yep.
And, Davidson, I mean, they have one of the best coaches in the world. And so, they're always going to be really good. And we just got to make our mark and believe in what we do and believe in who we are. And I think how we play is different than most. And so, we've got to do it at such a dominating style that people have to adjust to us. I feel really confident we're going to be able to get there.
Coach, we really both appreciate you coming on and talking about everything with us today. This was a really great, insightful interview, and we'd love to have you on anytime. So good luck this year, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate you guys for having me on. Stay safe and love each other.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.